So let's check out the 6 two-handed backhand checkpoints from Mackenzie McDonald so you can go out and film yourself from the side and compare your backhand to his backhand. Now, this video is courtesy of 12K GP Tennis on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to their awesome channel. I'll put their link in the description below. All right, 6 backhand checkpoints. What do I mean? Well, checkpoints are places in the swing where you can stop a video and check to see what you're doing. So checkpoint number 1 is the ready position. Checkpoint 2 is the unit turn. Checkpoint 3, the drop. 4, contact. Number 5 is the extension after contact. And 6 is the finish. All right, what are we talking about here for the ready position? First, it all starts with the feet. Make sure you are split stepping as your opponent hits the ball. Specifically, you want to be in the air as they hit. That synchronizes your brain and your reaction time with when your feet are hitting the ground. You'll also notice that he's landing on the front half of his foot. Just makes it easier to move in any direction. That way he is not heavy-footed and flat-footed. He also is going to be using a continental grip once he sees the ball come to his backhand. And obviously, I mean, his bottom hand is going to be a continental grip. Top hand's going to be an Eastern forehand. Checkpoint number 2. This is called the unit turn. This is where your body is going to turn about 110 degrees, right? Your shoulders are going to turn slightly past sideways. This is going to allow for better uncoiling. And you'll notice that his racket has gone back 180 degrees, where the ready position, checkpoint number 1, was here. So his racket has gone back 180. Tip of the racket is pointing up. His strings are facing off to the side, basically facing the crowd. This is really a powerful position because from here, he's going to be able to drop the racket down and accelerate with gravity, obviously not just solely from gravity, but it's going to allow him to drop and really crush this ball. So please, when you turn, keep the tip of the racket up on your two-handed backhand. You could think of 2 heads are better than 1, 2-headed monster, whatever. Keep that racket head up. Now, when he drops the racket, he drops the racket to what is called a closed racket position. When you look at his strings at this point, his strings are tilted down. Now, we're not looking at it from the back view, but we can absolutely see his strings are tilted down. This is partly due to him just focusing on making sure that his left palm is facing toward the ground because his left palm is going to be facing the same direction as his strings. But this closure is also, the closure of the racket face is also kind of a natural reaction to his hip rotation, pulling his hands forward, and the hinge of his wrists will actually help close the racket face. You have to make sure if you're hitting a topspin backhand that you are closing your racket face as a recreational tennis player to help you be more consistent to contact. You'll see some players like Andre Agassi who did not close the racket face a ton. You better be as athletic as Andre Agassi and practice as much as Andre Agassi to be able to hit a backhand as well as he does without closing the racket face. So my recommendation is that you close the racket face somewhere around 45 degrees closed. And the reason for this is so that when you swing to the ball, your strings are facing forward. Now, you can either have your strings facing directly forward, but depending on your racket speed, if you have really fast racket speed, you can get away with your racket face being as much as 10 degrees closed as you're swinging low to high up and out through this ball. So please, make sure you film yourself from the side and you look at yourself at contact, because if your racket face is wide open, that's what's sending the ball out. And what usually causes the racket face to be wide open and the ball goes soaring out over the fence is that prior to contact, the strings are not facing down, but rather your strings are facing to the side. See, if your strings are closed prior to hitting, they'll face forward as you strike the ball. But if your racket face is facing directly off to the side at the bottom of the swing, when you get to the ball, your strings will be wide open. This is why beginners hit the ball over the fence all the time, because they don't know to close the racket face. So check to see that your racket face is closed prior to contact so that your strings are facing forward at contact. This is really one of the keys to hitting topspin, that you're going up the ball with your strings facing forward with your racket face. Your racket's going up as you hit with your strings facing forward or even slightly closed. This is what's going to allow the ball to have topspin, and you can really rotate this ball, helping bring that ball into the court. You'll really notice his hip And his shoulder rotation, look at Fila on his chest, is rotating. He doesn't just swing with his arms, he's rotating his body. That's why it was so important that he had his body facing back slightly so that he can really uncoil into this shot as the racket's dropping, pulling his arms with his body rotation through contact. Now, checkpoint number 5 is the extension. Just look how far out in front he's going after he strikes the ball. This is what I call hand your racket to your opponent. You do not want to feel like you're swinging to the right if you're right-handed or immediately coming up over the shoulder. You want to swing out first, extend, penetrate through the back of that ball. It helps with depth. It helps with consistency and making sure that you are swinging from your shoulders and not your elbows. So after you hit the ball, extend out. Again, this is what I call hand your racket to your opponent. You can actually finish right here. Jimmy Connors did. Even Taylor Fritz right now will often hit the backhand and just stop out in front in checkpoint number 5. It's a way to carry the racket out towards your target, helping you be more consistent. And number 6 is the relaxed follow through. You can think of it as, didn't place that in the right spot. You can think of it as putting your racket in a backpack that is behind you. It is just a simple way to relax and help the racket slow down. So please go out and film your backhand. Make sure you've got what we've talked about from each checkpoint, from the ready position to the unit turn where the racket all the way back, strings are facing to the side. By the way, the opponent can only see the edge at this point. This is called on edge at this point. To the drop, closing the racket face below contact, swinging up through contact. He's really driving this ball. There's topspin on this ball. I'm sure someone in the comments was about to type and say, there's no topspin. That's perfectly flat. No. There's topspin on that ball. He's not ripping it with topspin like a cross-court passing shot or a topspin lob, but he's driving this ball, leaning. Look at the weight shift. Weights on his left foot, weights on his right foot. Beautiful. He's leaning forward, which is why this back leg kicks up, kind of like on a serve, that scorpion leg, extending out for checkpoint 5, and that relaxed finish. Really, really nice backhand. Now, the best way to practice these techniques is at home with a Topspin Pro. You can get a Topspin Pro using my link in the description. I'm also going to pin it in the first comment. I absolutely love the Topspin Pro, and I know you will too. And if you're looking for people in your local area to play matches against or practice with, or if you want to find a coach who's close to you who can help you with your game, then use my link for PlayYourCourt. And it's playyourcourt.com/2-minute-tennis. When you use my link to sign up, you get 50% off. If you have a two-hander, go out and film yourself from the side and look at your video in slow motion. Scroll through it slowly. Check all 6 checkpoints, that you have everything that should be occurring during those checkpoints. And if you do, there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.